I actually feel like saying I'm letting go. I'm releasing the lovely, lovely marriage that I had. I'm releasing it and letting go and saying thank you. And I'm welcoming in new friendships, love, opportunities. And it's lovely to hear the bird song. Do I do the welcoming in as I let out as well?
Not just
no.
We'll let everything in.
All right, so I'm letting go of my lovely marriage. I'm letting go of the lovely times I had. And goodbye. I feel very emotional.
You stayed the same, but if you did, I'd still love you anyway. I'd give you the world like I promised I would, even though you wouldn't do the same. I'd give you the world like I promised I would, even though you wouldn't do the same. Had this conversation more than 10 times. After 9, I still wish you were mine. Haven't ate in 7 days, 'cause I've been up till 6 a.m. Wrote 5 songs all just for you. 3 of them I can't bear listening to.
A lovely Christmas present that Andrew gave me, and I thought it was an empty box, and then I realised no, it's full of these beautiful items that serve a purpose. They're all around cleansing and cleansing rituals. And today, Andrew's going to cleanse my house for me. So really, let's get rid of any kind of negative energies, anything hanging in the atmosphere or in the walls. And believe you me, I've cried a lot over the last 3 years, so I'd like that misery gone. So help me.
Yes.
All right.
Well, cleansing is done. There's a few different ways to do it, I suppose, is one thing we should say, because one of the most powerful ways is smoke cleansing. That's not always possible for everybody, depending on where they live. Sometimes people live in apartments and sensitive fire alarms and stuff like that. So we don't always do that, but we can do that here. So that's
that alarm is just going to go off, just to tell you. So if we do the corners,
yeah. Well, that's where it's more important to do, is because energy sort of gathers in corners, high up, in like the folds of curtains, stuff like that. So we kind of go through them, like that, just to kind of clear all the energy. So it doesn't tend to more hang here. It's like dust. It's like, things like that. Like, imagine cigarette smoke, where that clings to. You're trying to clear out it in the same way. So we've got a few things that we can use. So obviously we're going to use some sage. So we do have some white sage here.
Lovely.
This is one that I have previously used that has some lavender attached to it as well. Sometimes you can use different herbs and so on.
Smell that.
It's really good. It's very earthy though, so some people like to use the palo santo, which is sort of a bit lighter and it's a bit sweeter as well.
That is,
I like to use the two of them together, because if you want a proper strong cleanse, it's nice to use the sage first, then a bit of this, I think. Then we have some
I know what this is.
that's a little stand for you to put your That's to catch all the ash when it drops, so it doesn't go onto the floor. So you can carry that around, and then you can waft that around with the feather.
Okay, so this is to move.
Traditionally, yeah. I mean, you don't need all that, but
you could do it with your hand.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
And you gave me some Palo Santo as well.
Yeah,
lovely.
always handy to have.
And then look,
so
gorgeous. 3 little files.
So I suppose the one in the middle, the greener one, is Florida water. which is used for cleansing. It used to actually be used just as a cologne,
Oh, really?
but they ended up realising had some very protective properties, so you can still wear it.
What is Florida water?
It's a particular blend. You can make your own. It's, you know, there's a few different variations on the recipe, although you can buy it. But it's used for protection. Different kind of things. You can put it onto yourself. You can put it into like a bath. You can put it on money to protect your finances. Or, but what in this case, maybe you'll sprinkle some on the floor. You can add some to your mop bucket as well when you're washing the floor as well, just to kind of do that.
I'd wear that.
It's very fresh, yeah, so you can actually wear it as well, and it gives you that kind of protection too. Okay. So that's always nice. And then the black salt, I've got my own here, is just for very strong protection as well, because one thing I suppose that people talk a lot about cleansing, but you don't just cleanse, you also have to protect as well afterwards. So you need to cleanse the space. And then you need, it's a little bit like kicking a rowdy drunk person out of a club. Yeah. If there's no bouncer on the door, they're just going to come back.
Okay, yeah.
So you need to cleanse the space, and then you put up your protections, and then you want to bring in some good energy then as well. Because if it's a little bit like taking an antibiotic. Okay. That's going to get rid of everything.
But then you have to reintroduce.
You need to reintroduce the good.
Okay.
So you can do that with, I like to use different incenses that are quite uplifting.
Okay.
But you can use crystals. You can, again, visualize, you know, you can light certain candles and so on. So there's different ways of doing it, and everyone will have their own personal way. I suppose just some other ways that you can actually cleanse your house without smoke, because again, it's not, you can use salt.
Okay.
This is more of a passive cleanser. Salt. White salt draws in negative energy and absorbs it, so you can leave it in dishes around. Again, you'd want to change this out every once in a while.
Okay.
Again, loose incense that you don't necessarily have to burn, so not like these sticks you could sprinkle around places again. Again, they're a lot milder. Sometimes you can combine various techniques of cleansing just so that you can kind of get like, you know, a fuller effect if you're not able to do any smoke cleansing. Crystals, sound as well. A lot of people use various sounds.
Like mantras.
Mantras. You can use your voice, but you can use music. You can use different things like that. Even loud clapping in corners.
I've done that actually, believe it or not.
And again, washing. You can make sprays. So things like the Florida water, but you can make your own out of essential oils as well. Again, and just charge them and sprinkle them around.
And how do we charge them?
That's a whole other video. But essentially, you would hold your hand over whatever you want to charge, and you would visualize what it is that you want to do, and you would charge it with your energy, with the intention that you want it to produce.
And I suppose what I'd like to kind of say there is to bring up the work of Dr. Umo, I think his name was, where he photographed water to show that intention, particularly put into the frequency of the voice, alters the crystalline structure of water. So he was getting these beautiful, so if he sang a beautiful song to water, when he went and put it under a microscope, an electric microscope, the structure of the water was this beautiful structure. If something negative or angry was put into it, the water was jagged, the molecule looked jagged. You can look that up on YouTube. So it's just this idea that our intention and our thought, which can be very much brushed off by anybody who's a material reductivist as absolute woo-woo and nonsense. Except if you tell these same people, well, pilots are piloting planes now via thought as opposed to eye movement and stuff, then that's okay. That use of thought to pilot a plane is okay, but the use of thought to cleanse a house, just woo-woo. So I'm just looking at that kind of dichotomy and just kind of saying, yes, our thought really matters. So when we're putting intention into this, we are infusing it with an energy.
Absolutely. Well, your belief is just a thought that you keep thinking. It's something that you have repeated over and over so that it's second nature and you believe it. The good thing about that is you can change your beliefs by changing your thought. But that needs you to catch the old thought first and then change it and do that again and again until the new one becomes. So whatever you believe will be true for you. Okay. So things like this have power because you believe that they will. Yeah. You charge it with your energy. It will have that effect that you want. If you kind of don't believe things, if you think things just happen.
Well, it's
then...
interesting, for example, that we arranged to meet today because it's a full moon.
Yes.
And we didn't know that when we were arranging.
No, it just happened to be the way it worked out.
And is that a good thing, do you think, for this? Will it magnify this, or...?
It'll certainly... The full moon you can do pretty much anything on.
Okay.
Also, if you miss a particular moon phase that you want to do something on, do it on a Monday. Because Monday is moon day.
Oh,
so
right.
Monday
Okay.
anything can be done on a Monday. If you want to be that specific. I think if you need to do something, do it when you can. You know how busy
Brilliant.
life is. Sometimes
Yeah.
you can't wait.
Yeah.
But yeah, the full moon will magnify things. Sometimes people prefer to do it in a waning phase because it's taking away.
Okay.
But I think in terms of a cleansing, sometimes you just want something gone.
Yeah.
And so the full moon is kind of like anything goes.
Okay.
So yeah, perfect timing.
So, you were talking about all these different methods, and what are we going to do today? What is the method we're going to choose today?
So, for me, I like to combine a few different ones. Nothing crazy, but what I like to do for myself, and the one that I find most effective, and again, you'll find your own way, and everyone kind of else finds their way. That first of all, that is, an option for them, because again, not all of these will be options for people, and there's plenty we haven't mentioned. Okay. I like to use some sage first, and then I like to use some palo santo. And then that is basically going around and cleansing the spaces, the air. And the way you're supposed to do it is you are supposed to go, if you have a 2-story house, it's top to bottom, back to front, and then out the front door. So you need to start the furthest away from the front door, and all of your windows and doors need to be closed so that when you're ready, you can open them and everything goes out.
Okay.
Then you need to close your windows and put up your protections again so that it can't get back in.
Okay.
So top to bottom, back to front, out the front door.
So I'm in a single story. What do we do?
So you probably start furthest away from the front door, come back around here.
It's the bathroom is the furthest away from the front door.
You could do if you wanted to do...
Well, I'd like to do whatever
the whole
you feel
place,
is right. But just to add to that, just to say one thing, there's an Irish tradition that on New Year's Eve, you open your front door and you open your back door and you let out the new, or you let in the new year and you let out the old year.
Mm-hmm. So sometimes symbolic things have meaning.
A long tradition.
Important to do around your mirrors as well, because mirrors tend to be, well, they can be a gateway. Spirits often tend to hover around them. It was an old belief, that's why when people died they would cover up mirrors, and
Yes.
But
And we did do that in Ireland.
Yeah.
We did cover mirrors. So this is a very peculiar passageway. And you were saying something about...
Because it's a passageway where energy moves to and from, it's through it, and you've got 2 mirrors in it.
And is that not a good idea?
I know it's a good idea, but this could be a place where a lot of energy moves through and gathers.
Okay.
So...
This is a really peculiar addition that was done in the 70s before I ever got the place.
So this wasn't part of the original house?
No, I think this is leading into a shed.
Yeah.
That would have been an ancient 19th century shed.
And we always go...
And again, this would have been a threshold point.
We have another mirror here. We always go anti-clockwise, or Widdershins as it's traditionally called, because backwards is reversing, and forwards, or clockwise, or diasil, is for bringing something towards you.
Diasil?
That's clockwise. And Widdershins is anti-clockwise.
Oh, I didn't know diasil was clockwise.
So you're either bringing something towards you, or driving something away from you.
So the Widdershins were letting go.
We're letting go.
Backward.
Yeah.
Out.
You wouldn't cleanse clockwise.
Okay. As I was saying, I feel very emotional. Suddenly really emotional.
Sometimes it can bring up emotions, and because it's raising energy that's been sitting.
Oh,
it's like when you dust and it sprinkles up into the air first before you
Yeah.
get rid of it.
I cried there earlier. I just suddenly. I was saying to you, a bit of it is Andrew's gentleness and precision and care. That So actually, this is over an altar to my parents. So that's okay, though, isn't it?
Oh yeah, we're not cleansing anything that isn't. Everything that's gonna be, you know, that you want to stay will stay. We're just getting rid of any sort of stuck, heavy kind of energy. And in fact, this might actually allow them to come through a bit more because there's more room energetically for them, you know. You want to make sure we get all.
I can see cobwebs.
That's okay. That's all.
I thought I
This goes, you can, like a lot of people will actually do this along with, even if you're just hoovering, dusting, mopping. Like I like to do this as like just part of my my cleaning if you're doing a big clean, spring cleaning. But once in a while, you know, I kind of tend to incorporate it all because it tends to be quite, you feel it a lot more. Your house feels like it's really, really clean that way, and you just feel better. And you know.
So just to say, you were going low down there. Why are you doing low down?
Because energy can kind of get stuck in sort of those low down or high up places, corners, as we said, folds, like behind doors, places that we often forget. Like, so imagine you're hoovering really, you know, having a deep clean because like you're selling your house or something.
Okay.
We're looking at getting to those places we sometimes neglect for that reason.
Okay.
So, because that's where it can gather.
It's also I'm very vain. I have light bouncing around, so I have all the mirrors.
No, it's lovely. It's just they can certainly be a place of gathering sort of energy, and of course as well curtains and so on.
I would never have said, of course, curtains ever. Wow. I have a knot in this one, will I undo the knot?
You can do, and I'll make sure, because the knot can capture if there was anything in it previously. That's where
right.
I remember years ago they said when witches used to capture wind in little bits of cloth and sell it to sailors so that when they got stranded at sea they would undo the knot and they would have wind and their boat would go. So the story goes.
Brilliant.
So energy can be caught, supposedly, in those knots and spaces. Ooh.
It's funny because all these memories are coming up.
They do. It's like they're being lifted up to be removed out. Yeah. Doesn't mean they're gone. Just the heaviness, the sort of feeling attached to them can be lightened by.
And funnily enough, they're kind of upsetting memories. They're not necessarily the happy ones.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing.
Okay.
That's a sign that it's actually working. It's like you have to kind of almost dig them up to actually remove them, don't you? Or you can keep relighting it for as long as you need. Especially if you're doing like a whole house and not just a room.
Yeah.
And you're using, this is one of the smaller ones you can get. You can get much larger ones and different types of sage and so on. So that's absolutely fine to keep relighting it when you need it. And you'll know yourself.
Yeah.
When it starts to feel a little bit better.
And are you thinking of anything? Can we just do it as just an intention?
You can do an intention, or I've done this for so long, I just keep the strong intent in my head. I sometimes say something in my head, although I can say them out loud as well. Sometimes you might say something like, I cleanse this space of all positive and negative energies and forces that are no longer for my highest good. People often wonder why I say positive energies as well. But it's because positive doesn't always mean good for you.
Oh.
And it could be something that once was positive, but isn't really serving you anymore. And so we need to be able to let go of those things and make room for new things.
That is so interesting. I'm going to undo that other one now.
Any dark corners or
Yeah.
anything where there's no light, natural light gets to.
Okay, things
Isn't
can
it?
cluster.
Yeah.
And you know, people can laugh. People can laugh at this thing, and I can see, yeah, look at it, are we all just, is this just imagination, whatever. But then on the other hand, when you think of digital information being unseen and wireless information travelling, that can exist. So why not a more subtler variation of that, which is untrapped by an algorithm, let's say. So even the frames on the wall, you feel?
Just everywhere, because again,
Okay.
the tops,
Ah,
things like that,
okay.
anything can rest. I mean, this is very thorough. I mean, you don't always have to be this thorough. I mean,
No,
if
it
you're doing
is.
it regularly. But
And I feel very grateful, Andrew, that you're taking and you're being so meticulous and taking your time around. I feel it's very generous of you.
No, I mean, well, I've done this for myself a few times before where you've had to do a real deep cleanse of
Yeah.
something, and you know, you just want to make sure everything's completely
Yeah.
you know, gone, because then again you'll feel the difference when it's all completely finished.
Because it has been a very hard 2 years or 3 years,
Yeah.
you know, coming up in 2.5 years personally, as well as globally. The world has gone through this pandemic and now there's a war. But personally as well, I've had my own apocryphal experience. So it is very meaningful that Andrew is, but I'm in another process of transition in my own life. I've started a new job, and so I feel this is a really important moment where Andrew has kind of come in to say, right, we're really cutting off the past now. I just had a sudden memory when you were working around the fireplace there. Do you remember I said the memories come back? And only in the bedroom I realised this is the day we were robbed when I was with my husband. On Patrick's Day, it has to have been 13 years ago. Easily. So the fact that we are cleansing the house, because that was a very disturbed robbery, that we are cleansing now on St. Patrick's Day in Ireland.
So the full moon wasn't the only
It
thing.
wasn't the only thing. And because that Patrick's Day was a real, oh my God, it was devastating. And they tore the place apart. They ripped out every single drawer. I came into a mayhem.
This one from, this is lovely. I love this.
Beautiful. So you can follow in here. It's normally not that cluttered, but because I've rescued the cat. I don't want anybody coming through that door that isn't wonderful and good. The next part of the ceremony, which is the opening and closing of windows and doors.
Well,
And
Palo
you-
Santo is it's like a holy tree. It's
palo and santo.
yeah, so it's meant to be. It's a bit of a lighter cleanse, but it's very uplifting. I find it's a bit sweeter than, say, I like to use the two together. But sometimes if I just want to do like a bit of a cleanse of my own space, this is perfect. Maybe you don't need the whole
beautiful.
sage,
It's a lovely.
and you get a lot of smoke out of it for a while.
Oh, it's a lovely smell.
And you can just let the smoke collect.
Yeah.
You know, we've done a very thorough one with the sage. You can actually see this traveling a little bit better.
Yeah.
Let it collect, and then what we'll do is we'll open the windows, the doors, let everything out,
Okay.
because it's lifted it all up. We're
Okay.
going to let it out. Then we will protect the space, and then we'll invite new things in.
Lovely. So when we open up this window, what do you do?
Just open them as you would.
Okay.
Yeah. You say whatever you want.
I actually feel like saying I'm letting go. I'm releasing the lovely, lovely marriage that I had. I'm releasing it and letting go and saying thank you. And I'm welcoming in new friendships, love, opportunities. And it's lovely to hear the bird song. Do I do the welcoming in as I let out as well?
Not just
No.
we'll let everything in.
All right,
first.
so I'm letting go my lovely marriage. I'm letting go the lovely times I had. And goodbye. I feel very emotional. You're welcome to go out. The cat will come in, I guarantee you. You're welcome to, yeah, I'm letting go. Goodbye. Goodbye.
While you're doing that, I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of Florida water. So the next step is you want to, all the things are kicked out,
Yeah.
we want to keep them out. Okay?
Okay.
That doesn't mean sometimes they won't slip back in, like a
Okay.
really smart talking drunk person might slip by a
Okay.
bouncer, but we can always get them back out again.
Okay.
So we want to protect, we want to put up our bouncers.
Yeah.
You can do this a few ways. I like to go to every window and door, especially like, ones that are more so on the outside, although you can do the inside ones as well.
Okay.
You can visualize, you can draw a pentagram of light
Okay.
over the space and ask that it be protected from any influences, harm, anything that's not for your highest good. Like you're putting up a protective shield. So we do all of the windows and doors.
Mm-hmm.
You can use some black salt and sprinkle it along the outside windows and doors.
Okay.
So it's outside, on the outside part of it.
Okay.
And then that will act as a barrier as well. So we can do both. We
Yeah.
can kind of do that and draw a pentagram. So you're drawing it kind of this way, just
Now,
with your
I've forgotten
finger.
how to draw a pentagram because it's supposed to join. So where's your first point?
So your first point is at the top.
Yeah.
And from us looking at it, so you're going down, you're going up and across, horizontal, back down again, and then back up.
Ah. Okay.
So you start at the top.
So we've done that now.
Yeah. So
Start for the highest good, and I can do it at the front door. So
just a few. You don't need much. It's very powerful. So you just.
okay.
I would just tiny bit just on the outsides,
Okay.
especially the front door, because that will sort of
Yeah.
prevent anyone that you don't want coming into your house crossing the
Okay.
threshold.
And
So
that's
do put
really clear to me. So a good bit there. Okay. Right. So I'm going to go out the front now and sprinkle it. I'm crunching this down because it's quite crystally. So lovely.
You can draw energetically across
Yeah.
the door, or you could actually get a little bit of Florida water on your finger and actually put it on the door itself.
Oh, I quite like the idea of the Florida water littered
On the door,
on
yeah.
the door, yeah.
So-
So this is the greeny one. So
So you
Thank
can
you.
do your front
So
door.
it's from the top. I'm going to put some. Am I doing it in the pentagram shape here, or am I doing? Look at the black salt has done to my hands.
I know it's all the charcoal, but yeah,
Okay.
you're doing it from the top and drawing around.
And I'm physically doing top. So when is it to the left side?
Yeah, to the left,
Top to the left,
up and across,
up and across.
and then horizontally back across,
And, yes.
and then down again,
And
and
then
then
up.
back up to the top.
Okay. And please protect my house. Good things come in. Oh, that's lovely.
The scent. Have a
Is
smell
it?
of it.
That is gorgeous.
It's my
What is
favourite. It's just called Energizing,
it? Okay.
and it's lemon, lime, and grapefruit. And I'll tell you why I use that one.
Okay. So we're at the... Where are we in this now? We're closing, we're inviting...
Yeah, so everything's protected.
Okay.
So you've your protections up, and now we just want to reintroduce some positive energy. And so you can do that with your own crystals that you may have that you want to place around, or just the ones that you have, you might want to just wash in water. Actually, you could leave them out tonight because it's a full moon. Let them charge, bring them back in tomorrow, and kind of just tell them what you want them to do. Just, bring goodness back into the atmosphere. I'm going to light some incense, and this is just one that I like. It's just called Energizing, and it's lemon, lime, and grapefruit. It's very uplifting. It's very, very... I like to light this whenever I'm making anything artistic or writing or creating anything, because it just is real, that energy, that motivation that I'm ready to do something new.
Okay.
So I think that's the energy we're going for.
Yes.
So
yeah.
you don't have to do anything fancy with this. I'm just going to invite in positive, happy, creative, fun energy. And
amen to that.
Making space for brand new things.
Lovely.
And then you can just let that burn.
Okay, so you gave me a beautiful stand here. See those little holes? Will that hold?
Yeah, it will indeed.
Gorgeous. It's all right if it doesn't go in the shell. Don't worry about that. Oh, Andrew, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you for taking the time.
How do you feel now? It's probably too early.
It was very emotional. I'm kind of surprised at how emotional it was. I think the last 2.5 years have just been awful, and like I cried immediately the minute you started.
Yeah.
Now I cry very easily, I will say, but I'm also amazed at the memories that pinged, and then the sudden realisation of the day and the robbery.
Yeah.
And that kind of significance that actually, no, I'm cleansing that away. That's beautiful.
It's lovely. It's my favourite. But just what you're saying, things like that stick. So trauma, robberies, things like that, traumatic events. Just because they're in the past doesn't mean we've dealt with them, doesn't mean they haven't left a mark, or just an energetic mark. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes there's just a heaviness, and we're
funnily
past
enough,
it.
I keep thinking of my ex-mother-in-law now. She's a lovely woman, and I really miss her. Really miss her. So, I'd like to send her a thank you and good vibes. But I have to move on. You
have to think of yourself first, and that's really...
Yeah.
I think what we always kind of want to say at the end of any kind of a cleansing as well is that we've now gotten rid of the energy, so we don't want to invite it back in ourselves. I mean, some things may come back in, life happens, but we don't want to go seeking that thing.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that it's like, this is a clean slate, and I'm going to do the best I can with it. I'm not going to do the same thing I did before. I'm not going to invite old stuff back. Things may crop up, and you will deal with them as they happen. Yeah. But we're not going to chase the past. We're going to look forward and go, what's next?
And that's a fantastic note to end on.
I think so. So your house... Well, actually, I can check if your house is cleansed.
Oh!
So this is my Obsidian Pendulum, which I actually got and practiced with for a good while after our last...
dowsing.
The dowsing video. And so you can actually use these to see, just make sure it's still, if it's actually... Because I like this, it's obsidian, which means it's very grounding.
Okay.
So, what's my yes? So my yes is always a clockwise spin. Never, it doesn't matter what type of pendulum I use.
Wow, it's so strong. Look at that.
And what's my no? Yeah.
Always side to side.
Diagonal
That's
side to
insane.
side. So, is Caroline's house cleansed of any negative energy?
No. Oh no, here we go. Wow, Andrew.
So...
My heart actually feels a little lighter.
You'll probably find that you do start to feel a bit lighter.
Yeah.
As the days go on. Don't be surprised if you do feel kind of sad and burst into tears all of a sudden out of the blue. That's normal.
Me anyway.
That's just...
That's me.
We're very dramatic artists. But that's normal,
Yeah.
That's, I think, there's nothing... That's another way of cleansing it. We won't live there. We'll just let it pass through.
Even just as a symbolic, and I love the symbolic. This has been very meaningful for me. Just going through to symbolically let go and release.
I think that's the thing though that really helps people, is that to whether or not you think this does anything, now I believe it does because it's definitely done for me, but sometimes the act of doing something, having those, even like a homemade ritual, if the rituals that you were brought up with don't work for you, you can make your own. And I think the symbolism that means something to you is what actually helps you mentally move on. So, you know, it's just actually the physical act of doing something, of taking control and saying, this is finished, now I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And that's really what this does, is it helps people to actually clear the clutter and actually mentally feel ready to move on.
And I am.
Good, glad to hear.
Thank you.
You're welcome, anytime.
Thank you.
Think about me one more time before you go. Someday you'll know. Someday you'll know. Already know what I'm going to say. I've been feeling this way for far too long.